Alright guys, today we are going to be working on making a custom intake manifold. We are going from a stock style carburetor like this that used to mount on top of a tank on that end. And we're going to be moving to a more traditional motorcycle style slide carburetor. So in order to do that, we need to make a flange that fits this and fits this on the other end. And also we are going to have to make sure there's a bend in it so it clears the exhaust. And I'll flip the camera around and show you here. Okay, so since this is a side valve engine, basically the ports are right next to each other. So if I were to put this right here, top down is probably a better angle, you'd see that it is just right next to the exhaust, and we don't want that. So I'm going to have to use a bent piece of pipe, and we're going to probably put it at a 45 degree to a 90 degree angle, somewhere in there. So yeah, and then first thing is just building a flange that matches that port. Okay, I found a piece of metal here that'll work for my intake flange. As you can see here, the carburetor fits quite nicely on there. So now I need to transfer this shape onto that flange. So basically all I'm going to do is put a piece of paper over it like that, and then do a pencil rubbing back and forth, and then I'll be able to cut that out and then line it up where I want onto the steel so that my holes are in the correct position, because this one is it's a little off to one side. So that's what I'm going to do. Alright, took a couple of tries to get it to stay flat, but yeah, that looks pretty dang good to me. So I'll go ahead and cut that out and transfer that onto here. Alright, I got my holes marked here, and I got the big one center punched. I'm going to drill that one first in case the bit walks, and then check to make sure it's still centered. And then after I get the holes where they need to be, I'll grind out the part around it. So first of all, I guess time to drill that big hole, and I'll see you guys in probably an hour. This is where a drill press would be really handy, but you know, the painter's ladder and regular drill seems to work as well. Just a little more muscle. Anyway, we'll check back in once this is drilled. Well, that ended up taking a lot less time than I expected. Gear oil is the trick. It smells terrible, but it works. Alright, let's see how we're lining up here. I mean, not bad. I'd say I'll remark those holes, punch it, and then drill those out. And then after that, yeah, looks like we have one flange. Well, I think that's as close as we're going to get here without a drill press. So I guess now I'll just trace out the edges and cut those off with the angle grinder. Alright, there we go. We have one flange. I'll pop it out of the vice grip so you can see. Still need to clean up the backside a little bit, but yeah, that is pretty much done. So now I'll just go ahead and do the same thing for the new carburetor. That one should be a little bit easier because it has a little plastic spacer that I can use to trace with. So yeah, I'll go ahead and get started on the next step here. And there we go, we have our second one rough cut. I did accidentally slip with the angle grinder a little bit there, but no big deal because I'll just put this on the back side of the flange, and the other side's looking pretty decent. So now that I got these cut, I'm just going to clean up some of these nasty edges on the sander here, just ever so carefully, and then round out the square parts, try to make them look a little nicer, and yeah, and then This is a little bit too aggressive of paper for the flat side, I think, so that I might make a little sanding block for, but that'll be later on. Right now I'm just deburring the edges. Okay, I got these flanges cleaned up and the burrs removed. They're looking pretty decent. Still gonna have to do some more sanding to get them perfectly flat, but they don't exactly have to be perfect. They just have to stop a vacuum leak. So anyway, those are done. I drilled these to 3/4 or 19 millimeters, which matches the bore of our carburetor. I'm having difficulty finding 3/4 pipe. Most of my stuff's either 5/8 or it is 7/8, like these handlebars. Let's see here. Like from this kid's bike, even these are 7/8. So I think what I'm going to do is just go with 7/8. Yeah, I'd rather have the pipe be bigger than smaller. So that's what we're going to go with. Alright, we got our little chunk of handlebar here, and yeah, I think this is going to work out pretty nicely. That one we're definitely going to have plenty of room for bolts. This side, I'm probably going to have to use Allen bolts, if I'm being totally honest, but that's fine. There's still enough room to weld. And then over here, I'll get a close-up so you can see how it'll look on the intake. Alright, and then over here, basically, it'll be sitting like this. Try not to scratch my gasket surface here. And then our carburetor will be off to the side just like that. Alright, so I have the pipe cleaned up and edges deburred, and I recut the angles to get them correct. And then I have our flange marked. Red is top and red is out. So basically the plan is to just line this up like so. Make sure we got the angle that we want and that we are clear of the holes for bolting, and then give it a few tacks and then test fit it and put the other side on. Alright, well I test fitted it and it's lining up exactly where I want it to be on the motor. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish welding up this side so nothing breaks off. And once that's done, then I'll go ahead and get started on this other end. Alright, both sides are welded up. I'm just going to let this cool off for a while, and then it's time to grind down those welds and check for some leaks. Okay, so I've been working on this here to make some room for the bolt holes, mostly the one on this side, and after a lot of dremeling, we now have room. See if I can get that to stay in focus. So you can see there's now room to put a bolt in, and yeah, I don't know if I'm going to bother grinding down the rest of the welds, because I think that's just going to make more leaks, more likely than not, kind of like there. And it just takes a really long time. So yeah, I think now I'm just going to go ahead and test for leaks and see what it looks like. So here's a really easy way to check for leaks. Just cover one end up with duct tape, spray some WD-40 in and cover the end up, and then just turn it around, and wherever it's wet or it's dripping, you got leaks. And I got them everywhere. So, I mean, with a flux core MIG welder, that's kind of be expected. I think in this case, I am just going to use some sealant, maybe some RTV, around that inside seam, and call it good. Alright, and there we have it. We have a carburetor mounted to the Briggs via a custom fab intake manifold made with old angle iron and kids bike handlebars. And yes, it is super solid. The bowl position is good. See if I can get an angle over here. Oh man, that is just so awesome. For the time being, I'm using these old muffler bolts since I don't really need them on this side anymore. That gave me the room to tighten them up with a wrench out here. And I was thinking about doing Allen heads, but I might just keep these because they fit really well. But yeah, that is pretty much it. We now have a real carburetor on the Briggs. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I'm super happy with how this carburetor turned out right there. Yeah, it just goes to show you don't need to spend $100 on some custom intake manifold off of eBay or from some private manufacturer. You can make your own. It literally cost me nothing. And I do have a welder, but it's a very cheap one, and I've been using it for a very long time. So yeah, you can get by with basic tools and still make something pretty awesome of your own. And now I have this awesome carburetor and exhaust setup without the big fuel tank that would have been here otherwise. So yeah, I really like it. Anyway, if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell if you want to see the next video in this build series. I'll catch you guys next time.